Mercedes are headed into the 2024 season with a massive issue, and this time it has the potential to ruin a lot of relationships in the team, similar to what happened back in 2016. With Hamilton departing the team at the end of the season, if the Silver Arrows manage to build competitive machinery for the upcoming campaign, Mercedes will find themselves in a very hairy spot. Which driver should they prioritise? And if they do Hamilton dirty by giving him team orders and letting him know publicly that he's no longer the driver they thought he was back in 2023, is this going to hurt the team additionally in terms of signing the next big driver as his replacement? It's safe to say that the intra-team battle between Hamilton and Russell is going to be the most interesting thing we're going to see in the 2024 season, especially if the W15 does indeed turn out to be what Allison and Wolff believe it to be. Of course, nobody can know where Mercedes will be before the car hits the ground in Bahrain, but the fact that Hamilton left the team before even testing it out points towards a negative downward spiral in which Mercedes might have entered, something that they have a huge chance of debunking in 2024 by providing both of them with a competitive outlet and showing Hamilton he might have rushed with his decision. But in case this happens, Mercedes will face the harsh reality of having two competitive drivers on the same team, one that Ferrari will have to deal with from 2025 onwards. If the car turns out to be able to win races and podium finishes, it's safe to assume that both Hamilton and Russell will be very close to each other, as the gap between them in qualifying as well as pure race pace was one of the closest compared to every other driver's pairing out there. And on many occasions we've seen battles between both of them, and this was with Mercedes believing that Hamilton would be the next championship winner for them at a certain point in the future. So they didn't intervene that much and let all things play out even on the circuit. However, 2024 will map a different picture in Brackley. They have a superstar driver who is departing for their rival team in Maranello, and they have a young and promising talent in Russell, who has just seen his chances of being the next Mercedes champion skyrocket after Hamilton's move. So what Mercedes needs to do is decide which driver they will prioritise in 2024 in race pace terms, because up until now, both of the drivers drove for the betterment of the team and built a competitive car in the process of doing so. Therefore, there weren't any interventions in the form of team orders. But going to Ferrari has left a massive dent in Mercedes' camp from multiple perspectives, such as the one where Hamilton is likely to drag a massive number of engineers and high-profile members of Mercedes along with him. Now, although Wolff said that he does not hold any grudge against Hamilton's decision and knew their relationship would come to a natural end, desperate times call for desperate measures. So in order to stop the confrontation that will very likely happen between Russell and Hamilton, Wolff will have to intervene in a certain way. As of now, the original stance of the Austrian is that both drivers will be treated with equal respect ahead of the new season, as he added, "I think what I've always tried to do as a team principal and all of us at Mercedes is to be transparent and fair, and nothing's going to change in that respect in 2024. We owe it to our principles, our racing intent, and how we go about racing, and we will respect that, and I will ensure that the drivers will respect that." However, when it comes to development and revealing the path that Mercedes has chosen for the upcoming season, Wolff admitted that this is a grey area that the team would have to discuss ahead of the upcoming season, as he furthermore continued, "In terms of the development going forward, I think this is something we need to look at. The regulations stay pretty much the same when it comes to 2025. We will evaluate later in the season what it means in terms of technical information, but that's not something that bothers me at all. We have engineers that leave us and go to other teams, and the notice periods are sometimes as short as 6 months. So I don't have any doubt about Lewis's integrity in terms of sharing information in that respect." With all due respect to Wolff, he also said that when he heard about Hamilton's statement about leaving for Ferrari, both he and Bono thought of this as an April Fool's joke. So now that the Brits' priorities are set straight with the Maranello team, Mercedes would be smart to not bet on Hamilton's loyalty regarding data leaks. Although to be fair, there is little to no data that Hamilton doesn't currently know regarding the following 2 years. And now that Ferrari has made a revolution with their car for the upcoming season, even if he does have some data to share, it's very unlikely to be used by the Maranello team if they are ahead of Mercedes. The real battle, however, will be on the tracks, where Mercedes would have to put up with 2 alpha male drivers in what could be a very competitive outlet, and this time Mercedes might be steering the ship more towards Russell. After all, they didn't listen to Hamilton when he was constantly complaining about the zero pod design, and the departure to Ferrari was certainly perceived as a massive slap in the face for the tirelessly working people back in the factories. And if they have a say in this matter, it's already known who would be the prioritised driver in 2024. And another very important factor here is Hamilton's impact on the current employees in Mercedes. So, if the Silver Arrows decide to do him dirty and prioritise Russell, It will without doubt create a gap and a separate team inside Mercedes, led by personnel like Bono and Riccardo Mosconi, who all have their worshipping group of engineers below him. So, is this actually the scenario that Mercedes wants to create for themselves? Just like we saw last year in Qatar, both Mercedes drivers are not afraid to go at each other. And in 2022 in Miami, Russell never backed down from the fight with Hamilton, showing that even if it is for a P5, the fight is something he will bring to the table every racing weekend. And when talking about his goals for the upcoming season, Russell didn't mince words, as he made his priorities loud and clear: beat Hamilton and then secure the position as the #1 driver in the team. Adding to this matter, the Brit said, "No doubt it has been probably the toughest season I've ever had psychologically, bouncing back from missed opportunities, missed results and mistakes. I think this is what happens when you push yourself. I could comfortably lift my foot off the gas pedal and drive a percent below the limit, and I could sit here right now and tell you that I wouldn't make a single mistake. I'm purposely trying to push myself further and beyond, and I'm not satisfied with just being on par with my teammate in qualifying or whatever it may be. Or in 2022, when we were very even across the whole season. I want to be ahead, and that's what I'm pushing myself for." The obvious situation is that Russell was better when the car was at its lowest, and as soon as it started to improve, it was Hamilton who managed to finish third in the season and be the highest ranking non-Red Bull driver in the campaign. Although Russell did suffer his fair share of reliability issues, such as the ones in Canada and Australia, the driver's mistakes in Singapore put a dent in his self-confidence, and it's definitely something he needs to be working at heavily in the upcoming season now that the cards are stacked in his favour. The former F1 champion Jacques Villeneuve also believes that the 2024 season will be a boiling point between both Mercedes drivers, because they do not have that much in common right now, as he feels like Hamilton has lost faith in the entire team and will drive his own season, meaning he will stop at nothing and will sacrifice a 0% of his performance to help his team in the same way he helped them back in 2022, when they tried out different tactics with the W13. Adding further, Villeneuve said, "Inside Mercedes there is something wrong. Lewis no longer believes in the engineers. He no longer believes in Toto. The team, after all the space and freedom they gave him, didn't expect such a farewell. It was Mercedes that created Hamilton's image. They believed he would remain an ambassador for life." But if Mercedes does indeed decide to push Russell and prioritise him over Hamilton throughout the course of the season, what kind of picture does this give for the next driver who is supposed to replace Hamilton, such as Alonso? If the Spaniard was to suit up for Mercedes, the last thing he would want to see is that the young teammate is being given the nod, while he would have to struggle to earn the same respect from the team, even though his scenario won't be the same, because Mercedes would have a legitimate reason for what they would be eventually doing to Hamilton. This is the scenario that will likely go down to Ferrari as well, but not with the same intensity, because if you think about it, Sainz doesn't have a team lined up for him in 2025. And while he won't have any issues signing for a big name such as Mercedes, the last thing he would want is to ruin his image as a disgruntled driver who is doing things out of misery and pity. With all of this in mind, the upcoming season will reveal a lot of answers that the fans have after Hamilton's move, but the most important one will be, is Russell ready to be the champion with Mercedes? One thing is for sure, the battle between these two will be very fierce, and Hamilton won't like to leave the team as the driver who lost the battle to his teammate. But due to the nature of the circumstances, Mercedes might be doing everything they can in order to make that happen. Do you think that the Silver Arrows will purposely help Russell, as it's clear that he's their future now? Let us know in the comments below.